the fact of the matter is, and the message that she's trying to send is that black women aren't some magical, mythical beings who are somehow able to absorb negative messages about themselves on a daily basis that tell them that no part of you is acceptable as is. Not your hair, not your skin, not your nose, not your body. It's not acceptable. But yet they're supposed to have these high mountains of self confidence that somehow prevent them from being affected, impacted, or hurt by the things that people are saying. And then if they were to dare to go and change any of these things, those same people come at them and say, "Hey, how comes you're doing this? You're supposed to be confident enough to withstand my abuse and not do anything." Come on now, that's an unreasonable expectation. Hi, welcome to the JA Lover community. And by now, except if you have been living under a rock, I'm pretty sure you've seen the Spice Break the Internet picture that she used pretty much as sort of publicity and promotion for her most recent mixtape titled, I think, Captured, and for the song that she's featuring from it that's called Black Hypocrisy. So prior to Spice releasing that picture, now infamous picture that literally has trended across social media for days, has caused her to be featured on Wendy Williams and other places. She had pretty much deleted all of her videos off of Instagram and had disappeared from the scene for a little bit, and everybody was wondering what was going on. Well, she came back with this dramatically different look, and I must tell you, when I opened up my YouTube, that was the first place I saw it, because really, YouTube is probably my most used platform. Opened up my YouTube, and I saw the picture. Literally, it was shocking, right? And I was like taken aback. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And it didn't hit me immediately that it might be makeup, because it looked so flawless, and then because her arms and her stomach were looking like the same color, I was like, what the hell is going on? By the time I went and I watched the video that had accompanied it, I realized, okay, so there's a little bit of a publicity stunt going on here, because she was being very coy as she was kind of talking with that interviewer. And so I kind of started to feel a little suspicious. I was like, she's under this big shades or whatever. And then she had basically gloves on and a big old suit where you couldn't see any of her body really. And then from the things that she was saying and how she was laughing and joking, I was like, okay, maybe it has something to do with what she's trying to promote. And so obviously since then that has been confirmed, that pretty much it appears that she has not actually bleached her skin, and she's just really trying to do one off or two things, right? She's trying to promote her album and her song. As folks know, she's been trapped into a contract with VP Records, I think, and they haven't been promoting her music. She hasn't been able to release a full album with their promotion and that kind of thing. And so she's basically been out here doing things on her own until that contract runs out. So she has to do what she has to do to promote her songs. And secondly, as a dark-skinned black woman who's had that lived experience, I'm pretty sure this was something that, you know, she always wanted to express lyrically. She has probably talked about it, and she has a unique experience in that she is in the dancehall world, right? Where dancehall is pretty much a male-oriented, male-dominated world. And so for her, to come out and have success as a woman, what says as a dark-skinned black woman, has been pretty much impressive what she's been able to do. But clearly, you know, as a woman, she hasn't been unscathed by some of the very nasty comments that people have made about her on the internet, and I'm sure in real life as she was growing up as a dark-skinned young girl. And so I'm sure she wanted to spark awareness and, you know, start a societal conversation around this topic of acceptance of blackness across the spectrum of blackness, from the darkest of the dark to the lightness of the light, versus the current preference that seems to exist for folks who are at the lighter end of the spectrum. Now, as she kind of put this out, at first I had kind of mixed feelings about it. I was like, man, I mean, regardless of what publicity she's trying to do to pull a stunt like this, and for young impressionable girls who might be seeing this, right, and who are looking around their little community back in Jamaica or anywhere in the world and seeing the rampant bleaching that's going on, and then looking onto social media and seeing an icon, which, I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty safe to call Spice an icon in dancehall music. Seeing her do that, especially since, she has been one of the more admirable people out there in the sense of really resisting any kind of dramatically visible difference in her skin complexion since becoming famous. I'm sure for young girls seeing that, it might have an impact on them, for the fact that, just looking at that image, there's something very jarring about it. There's something that is just almost disturbing to see her in this way at all, right? But when it comes down to publicity, I guess there is no such thing as bad publicity as far as being an artist is concerned. There's a lot going on out there today, and you have to do things that sometimes might seem dramatic just to get some attention. And so, I can't knock her for that. That's what the entertainment game is, and she has to do what she has to do. Clearly, she's a master manipulator of the media because she has captured everybody's attention over the past few days, and the conversation still continues. No, I was hoping that this whole thing would have kind of triggered a more deeper conversation from a societal perspective. And really, as I listened into the song, I mean, it was obviously heartfelt, some of the lyrics that she had in there, and she touched on a number of things that are problematic within the community. So both colorism and featureism, right? And by featureism, I'm talking about things like the shape and size of your nose and the kind of hair that you have. Those things that continue to be a marker of attractiveness in a society where, for most people, they may not necessarily be at the standards that are considered to be ideal in this society, or the standards that have been set with regards to the features that women have. And women in particular, are at this intersection of race and gender that makes this conversation particularly important to us. And given the fact that as women, from you're smaller, you're kind of drilled in with the message that your looks really matter more so than for men, who, men can get away with being unattractive if they are successful financially. Women, no matter how successful you are, right, you're primarily judged on your looks, right? And no one is immune to it. I think women have this desire to be attractive, right? And because, like I said, primarily your value from the moment you're born is wrapped up in your cuteness, right? Even some of the most successful black women that you can think about across the globe. Think about an Oprah, right? Think about Michelle Obama. For Oprah, her entire career has been kind of focused in on her weight loss journey, so having that ideal body. And then you can see that Oprah herself rarely presents herself with natural textured black hair, or without makeup, and it's been even rumored that she's had a nose job. Same for Michelle Obama. Like, you've never seen these women without their hair looking like something that doesn't naturally come out of a black person's head, right? Whether it is their own hair that has been straightened or whether they've added extensions, there's always something that's a deviation from how most of us are born naturally, because the message that you get is that the way you are is not acceptable in society. And so I think back to, the deeper conversation I was hoping would be triggered by this. We have our young girls who are out there, they're watching, they're listening, right? And if you can put yourselves in the shoes of a little 4-year-old black girl and how she looks up to her aunts and her mom and the women around her, and she notices that everybody, as they kind of get older, all of a sudden they don't look like what a young black girl looks like anymore, right? We are the only race of women who, or children, have a completely different look than what we look like as adults, right? At some point, we all kind of go through what is now considered a rite of passage, in the sense that we have that relaxed hair or straightened hair. And then as time goes by, and even now I'm noticing happen much younger and younger, young girls are wearing wigs. There was a time when only a great grandaunt would wear a wig to church. Not anymore. Like, wigs are literally par for the course nowadays for a black woman. So things have dramatically changed. And like I said, I hesitate to place the blame on people who are victims of the society that they live in. These are messages that women have been told from the day they were born, right? And it takes a special amount of strength to fight against all of that and say, you know what, I'm going to present in my natural state regardless of what anybody else may say about me. Even Spice herself, she's so far, it seemed, resisted the bleaching part of it. But think of all the other parts of Spice that have changed over the years. When she started out, her body looked nothing like this. It's apparent that she's had multiple plastic surgeries. It looks to me that her various parts of her body are enhanced, right? And then in terms of her hair, I was struggling even to find a picture of Spice for this video that had a natural color of hair, like black. It was literally always some dramatic weaves and wigs and fake hair and things like that, which, that's something that's widespread and rampant across the black society. Even myself, as I sit here, it's very rare that I go out and I have my own natural hair on my head, right? And of course, we can say there's a number of reasons for that. It's convenient. We like to switch it up. We like to do this and that. But if the switching it up never involves you wearing the hair that comes out of your own head, then come on. It's obvious that there's a deeper and more vulnerable conversation that can be had here. But I don't expect most people to get to that deeper level of conversation. This is something that would require the entire society to kind of take a look at itself, right? And really introspect as to why we're sort of moving rapidly in that direction where we're so much we're embracing things that are as far away from who we naturally are as possible, right? And it doesn't seem to be slowing down, right? We have trapped ourselves into this desire to kind of meet societal standards, and society is saying to us that everything that you are naturally is not acceptable, right? The way how you come out is not acceptable. And I'm not saying that we as black women are the only ones who are susceptible to this. I think women in general, because society has changed such that for women, and we are probably the only species out there where the female of the species is the one that has to be trying particularly hard to be chosen by a mate, right? In other mammalian and even, so just animal species like birds and so on, the man is the one that actually has to prove to the female that his DNA is worthy of being passed on to future generations, right? Because the woman is the receptacle of life. Without a woman giving you permission, you won't be able to reproduce, right? And so if you can think about even lions, it's the lions that have the big manes, right? The female lion, she's pretty plain, and she kind of just sits there, and the man has to come and prove that he's kind of worthy. Same thing with peacocks and all kinds of other species in the world. But somehow for us as female humans, the picture is different. We are the ones that have to be painting ourselves and putting all kinds of things on our head and manipulating our bodies in order to be deemed attractive. And so, there's a myriad of sources of the problem. I think the part of the song that I have a problem with is the lack of sort of acknowledgement that these issues stem from places that some people don't even understand themselves. They don't understand that they have been indoctrinated to hate themselves. And so when you hear somebody spewing some of that hate back out at someone else, you're like, oh my gosh, we're all victims here, right? Of being a part of a society that has determined that we are not attractive, and so we end up turning around and using those weapons against each other. So what I don't want this to become is another us, like an internal warfare, right? The lights versus the darks, the straight nose versus the broad nose, the curly hair versus the kinky here. We don't need to be divided in that sense. What we do need to come to an agreement that is that it's not right for us to perpetuate the hatred that has been thrown at us by other people onto each other, right? And then as we think about our children, we have to think about the messages that we're sending to them, right? It seems like, some of these generations that are as old as we are, the pretty much the horse has jumped the stable, and I don't know if we'll be able to really get back to a place where we fully love ourselves to the point where we're able to present in our completely natural state, right? I don't know if we'll be able to fix that, but let's think about how we can impact our kids, right? And for those who have the opportunity to love a black woman around them, I would say take that opportunity and make sure that you're raising your queens up and making them feel as though they are valuable and attractive, and that they don't have to be going through all of these machinations just to be accepted. So, there's so much more to be said about this conversation. I'm glad that, people are paying some attention to it, because the bleaching epidemic has to stop, right? The bleaching is out of control, and it's one thing to be wearing wigs and weaves on your head and creaming your head, even though people have said that the rates of fibroids in the black female community might be related to the chemicals that we have been putting on our heads since we were children, and that cream was burning into our scalps, right? There's that, but at the same time, changing your skin color involves inserting chemicals into your bloodstream that literally change your or depress your melanin, and your melanin is very protective to you as a black person. I don't know if many years down the line we're going to be having increased incidence of skin cancer and other problems, health problems within the community based on just the rampant levels of bleaching. It just can't be healthy for folks to be doing these things, right? People are going under the knife because we're now being told that, okay, our bodies are supposed to be curvy. Your breast's supposed to be big, your body's supposed to be big, but somehow your waist is supposed to small. Most people are not built like that, so you have to be laying down on a surgery bed to get these kinds of results. There were parts of a black woman's body that weren't acceptable until other people started wearing them, and now it's like, okay, it's acceptable, and now everybody's chasing that ideal. Ultimately, we would all love to live in a society and be able to love ourselves and love each other. The message that she's trying to send in terms of stopping the hatred amongst us, I think that's important for us to show love and solidarity towards each other and to show pride in who we are, right? And so that's what I'm hoping that folks will take away from this conversation. And there's much more. It's a much deeper issue. It's not something that's going to be solved with one song, but if it's a step in the right direction, then certainly I greatly appreciate that she's opened up the door for folks to have a serious conversation about this. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found something valuable here, and I hope you come back to the community. Please subscribe if you like the content. I would greatly appreciate that, and until next time, take care of yourself.